Welcome back to Good Morning LaLa, and it's hashtag Wealth Wednesday. We have Zack Hurley in the house, who is the co-founder of Indie Source. How are you?
Doing well.
So you guys, tell us a little bit about this. You basically work with different people for having their specific lines. They basically co-create with you.
Right.
Is that
they
correct?
have an idea, and often they don't have a fashion background, right? They just have a creative inspiration, and they want to make something, but they don't know the first step. So they come to us, and we execute the technical with them. We hold their hand through the process of developing the idea. We source fabrics, we make patterns, we cut and sew, and then we iterate until the prototype is perfect. And then from there, they have the choice to go, take the sample out, raise money, show people, get feedback, and test the concept really. And then once they're ready, they put in an order, and we actually manufacture everything in Los Angeles.
Wow. So where did you come up with this idea?
It came from talking to a lot of people in this industry that were doing this, but were kind of stuck. And so this is about 6 years ago. We were at Magic trade show, which is coming up in a couple days, actually.
Big show in Vegas.
Big show in Vegas.
Yeah.
And we were actually there because we were selling some clothing for this Peruvian guy that we had met, and we traded him. He said, hey, if you can get my product into the US market, you can use my factory, right? This is the first time I even got into this whole thing. So I was like, sure, let's see what's happening. And so being at the show, I was kind of not really into his clothing. It was like a little bit not my style. But we started going down booth by booth and talking to all of the people that had these booths. And the weird thing is that almost every single one of them, it was their first show. It was the first time they had ever done it. And they were all printing on blank t-shirts. It was all very generic. They're like, why are you guys, you're actually doing the same thing. There's no differentiation. Like, what do you know about manufacturing? And they didn't know anything. And I said, what if we could make something really custom for you that was like the fabric you pick, the fit you pick, like totally yours? And they all like really liked that thought. And so we started to basically develop this clientele of people that wanted to make something completely custom rather than just like printing something on a shirt.
So what's that like? We advocate, of course, people buying locally and working locally. What has that been like for you? Has it been more expensive? What are the pitfalls, or what are the pros and cons of that?
So it depends on how you look at it. If you're new getting into the industry, you really, really want to make it here. There's a lot of reasons for that. Number one, you don't have to make as much. So you don't have to make thousands of units. Number two, you have oversight. You can speak in English. You can communicate. I mean, every day people walk into my office with horror stories having gone to China without experience. If you go to China, you have to be prepared to be flying there.
Yes.
Right, be flying there every single month at least, right? Even if you are there, you have to know what to look for. So the idea is that most people don't have that background, and we've slowly created an ecosystem for them to build their businesses and thrive. And so, I mean, fast forwarding to now, we have taken a very fragmented LA industry where you have the cutters over here and the sample makers here and all these different people all around the city that are spread out, and we brought them under one roof. And so we do all of our prototyping together where each person communicates with each other so that if there's an issue, they can solve it really quickly. And because we're making such unique products, they have to be able to talk, otherwise it'll never work.
So as the co-founder and the CEO of this business, tell us a little bit about creating the business. I mean, what was your biggest challenge in doing that?
Yeah, so there's a lot of, the industry is very archaic. So they don't really want to be disrupted, right? There's a lot of, I'm extremely young, especially when I started for being into this industry. And so nobody really wanted to take us seriously when we were starting. So a lot of age discrimination, but also they're not using technology the way the tech world is. So I'm dealing with, we have like 70 different fabric vendors that we work with. And I've had to go over to where they are and help them set up a merchant processor because they wanted me to fax an order, right? So that's these types of challenges where I'm not just struggling to build this business and this ecosystem, but the entire industry is really, really old.
So how do you deal with that though, the ageism and being taken seriously as the founder of your business?
You just get you put your head down and you just go. I mean, like you can't, to me, that's just a motivator because I just think it's ridiculous now. And I would say probably 10 years ago, it would be harder because now you have people like Facebook, Mark Zuckerberg running the world. And so that's not so much a thing anymore. But yeah, it's about constantly solving problems every single day. That's what I do for a living.
So you work with influencers essentially online.
Well, so influencers is a niche, right? Because influencers often are trying to monetize. They have a lot of attention, and so they have a great opportunity to build a product that's not, vitamin water or any of these like supplement things that you see them promoting all the time, but something that's really on brand to them, right? So something that they would wear, that they really love. They can make a product that fits their image, and they can start to build a business around that. So that's a huge opportunity for them, and so we work with a number of them to make products and help them, make more money. We also work with the majority of our customers are just average Americans that have an idea, that are working a job maybe, and they've thought of something, this has been on my mind for a while, and I really want to do this. So I'll give you some examples. Lines for women who are really tall. You have tennis lines. You have sweatpant overalls. You have basically anything you could possibly imagine. People are solving
I
problems
love that
every
one.
day.
The sweatpants overalls.
And that's what we're doing right now.
Sign me up.
Yeah, and those guys are crushing it, right? Because they just made it something that is interesting and that people want to wear. So it can be fashion lifestyle. It can also be product function related, and just, hey, people need this. This is going to solve a problem. So while I do work with influencers, and I think they have an advantage because they already have the attention, this is for anybody that wants to become an entrepreneur, that wants independence and wants to create a life for themselves that they have control.
So if they come to you, what do they need to bring in order to be prepared to actually bring this to fruition?
They have to have the idea. Like, they have to really know what that is. So for example, if they're going to do like a women's athletic line, they got to know generally like what that's going to look like, right? So we ask them to bring in reference samples and things from the market, ideas, photos, actual garments that they like. And they don't need a fashion degree. They don't need sketches either. We get them to bring in the stuff that we're wearing right here, put it on the table, and we say, okay, well, what do you like about this garment? What do you like about this garment? And they point to it, and we Frankenstein the whole thing together based off of what they want. So they get to act as the designer without having to really have the
Oh
background.
my God,
Wow,
you're
so
making
cool.
the impossible possible.
Right.
So if somebody comes to you and they're set up in that way, they're already clear in their mind about what sort of they want to do, and you help them to sort of customize this in a way and streamline it in a way that can go to market. How long does it take on average to ramp up so that they're in a place where they feel like maybe there's a regular sort of source of income coming in?
I think you want to give yourself, it depends on how much money you start with, obviously, right?
Yeah.
So that's a huge thing. And one of the things that we focus on in that initial meeting is the money. So we talk about, what are you investing? What are your goals financially? And sometimes it's just, I want to be able to make my salary.
Yeah,
And
I
so
want to get out of my regular 9 to 5.
it's really easy. We take the total number of units you need to sell, and we extrapolate that to figure out what type of net profit you need to be at to be able to like make a living and not have to do that other job anymore. So it really depends, but just usually to ramp up development, to go through production, and to start selling, you want to give yourself 8-9 months. Yeah.
And what about the actual, where do you guys sell? Like, how does it ship? I mean, just, I'm sure people are curious.
Our
I'm like,
brands are responsible for selling it to their customers.
so they
right.
can choose Etsy, or they can choose what, like, how do they get it
shouldn't
delivered
choose
to their,
Etsy. Well,
I don't know the industries.
Right. So typically, so
Talking
they'll
about
have a
it.
site, right? So maybe they have any type of e-commerce site, or some of them do go wholesale. But the majority of our brands are skipping out on wholesale, going direct to consumer online. They're putting their time into marketing.
So they're in their living rooms packing it up and shipping it?
So no, so often the first one you do that, which I think is smart. You get to just touch it, feel it, be responsible for that. You just use fulfillment. So then the next piece is that they just put it in there's distribution centers and fulfillment warehouses all over the city.
Okay.
The city of LA is phenomenally set up for what we do.
Ah.
The labor force is great. There's millions of yards of fabric, and these are from mills that are constantly stocking the same stuff. And there's warehouses. Like, it's really, really set up. Most people don't realize how much production is done here.
So I'm wondering, what's the unfair advantage your company has in doing what you do?
We've created process that allows us to really help those that don't have that background and get them to market, get them to launch. And the traditional model is, oh, you want to start something? Cool. Order 1,000 units and I'll make you a sample. And they're like skipping 100 steps and trying to like force you into production. And we've realized from so many calls, hey, I went to this person, they couldn't help me. This other guy wanted me to put in all this big order, but I don't even have a sample yet. That people were skipping the right stages and getting something made and prototyped, and sometimes they even need time to take it back and test it and see what people like. And that was not there before. And so now we have a process that makes it easy, and every designer that we work with, every client gets a project manager who's been in the industry for a long time and really knows how to navigate the whole thing.
Wow.
That's fantastic. So instead of skipping the dating and the courtship,
Yeah.
running
Yeah.
right to the altar.
That's how you end up
Handhold
with
that.
loss. That's how you end up with, oh, I just invested 30K and now it's gone. So,
So how can people find you and work with you?
I mean, we're online, indiesource.com.
Indiesource.com.
Yep.
There you go.
Our Instagram is indie_source. And yeah, we're going to Magic in a couple of days, like I said. And we're actually doing a contest, giving away $5,000 for someone to start their line. So go ahead and follow us, and we'll be posting that in the next like 24 hours or so.
Oh,
All
love
right.
that.
Jazz might
Amazing.
just be.
I'm so happy.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for being
Thanks
here.
so much.
Stay tuned. We'll be back with more Good Morning